Just give a wave out to the group out there. We're live streaming this tonight with the Cornell Entrepreneur Network as well. My name is Megan Mackerer. I'm a 2002 graduate of the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. I'm also the Vice President of Communications for the Cornell Club of Greater Philadelphia. And on behalf of the Cornell Club, I want to welcome everyone here tonight, both in the room and online watching this event. A few thank yous. There's a lot of groups involved in putting on this event tonight. Reed Longo, class of 14, sitting right here beside me.
Give it up for Reed.
He's the mastermind behind this, the organizer, and he'll be our moderator this evening. Reed's also a board member with the Cornell Club. We worked very closely with the Cornell Entrepreneur Network to put this event on, and we also had a lot of help and support from the Northeast Corridor office from the Alumni Affairs Department. As is tradition, any Cornell event of alumni, they ask us to give a few updates from campus. So a few things that are going on in case you didn't know. It's our sesquicentennial this year. There may have been 1 or 2 or 84 emails about that you've gotten. So more information about Cornell celebrating 150 years can be found online at 150.cornell.edu, all culminating in April, and the Cornell Club is working very busy to get an event together the weekend of the 24th, 25th of April. Also, another big announcement that Cornell has made in the recent months is we have our 13th president starting next July, Elizabeth Garrett. She is going to be the first female to lead Cornell University, so we're very excited about that transition next year. And since we are in a sports event this evening, anyone make it to Madison Square Garden this past weekend to cheer on the men's hockey team? All right, 3-1 win over Penn State. It's a great tradition that having Big Red hockey at MSG. And then, you know, in line with all of the alumni executives we have out in the professional sports world, in January, we have a new commissioner coming into Major League Baseball to replace Bud Selig. Rob Manfred is also a Cornell alum, so congrats to him. I'm seeing a lot of new faces here tonight, so just wanted to welcome them to the event, welcome you into the Cornell Club, which is not an unofficial application-based club. It is anyone who, alumni of Cornell, friends and family of Cornell that live in the greater Philadelphia area, from Center City to the PA suburbs, all the way down to the South Jersey Shore. You are welcome to any and all of our events, and we all consider you part of the Cornell Club of Greater Philadelphia. To stay up to date on some events we have coming up in the new year, please check us out on Facebook and on LinkedIn. We've got a holiday party next week on Tuesday night. We're partnering with some other Ivy League groups for that. It'll be at 1 Tippling Place on Tuesday night. And we also have our Cornell Cares Day coming up on January 3rd. We're working again with Philabundance, which is a great provider of food for people in need in the greater Philadelphia area. So enough of that. Again, welcome, and I'm going to pass this on to Reed. Thank you again so much for everything you've done to put this together.
Pleasure. Thank you. Is this working? Can you guys hear me? I believe this is working. All right, so I won't even use a microphone here, but welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. Megan, thank you for introducing me.
Let me try to turn that off.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name is Reed Longo. I am a 2014 graduate. There we go. 2014 graduate of the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, and am now here with the 76ers in our sales and service department. The 76ers obviously have been making some news recently, now riding a hot 1-game winning streak, so glad you guys are here with us. Yeah, that's why we have the trophy here actually, to commemorate said winning streak. But anyway, again, welcome. This is the Hall of Fame room at the Wells Fargo Center, and you guys are all here joining us for the Cornellian Business of Sports panel. So I want to thank you all again for making it out here. Would like to especially thank the Cornell Entrepreneur Network and the Cornell Club of Greater Philadelphia. They put in a tremendous amount of work to make this possible, and so happy with the turnout that we have here. But anyway, as I said, the topic tonight is business of sports, and we are very lucky tonight to be joined by a whole lineup of industrial leading executives in the Philly sports market. That is not myself included, so I'm gonna stop talking a little bit here and pass it over to them. So first off, thanks to all the panelists I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to chat with all of us tonight, as well as the 4 or 5 people we have listening in on our live stream. So thank you for that. But anyway, we got 100 right now. Wow, sorry, that was probably loud for you guys. Awesome, great to hear. Well, I'm sure about half of them are my friends and family, so I appreciate this. So anyway, not going to take up too much time over here, but like I said, we have a tremendous lineup here, and what you'll see is that sports industry, especially with this collection of talent we have, is very diverse in terms of the roles and functional areas that you're going to see and learn about today. So we'll go down the line, hopefully for some background for everyone. You could talk a little bit about your position, how you got there, and what that's like. I guess we'll start Tim to my left, and we'll pass the mic down. That would be great.
Sure. So thank you for coming. My name is Tim McDermott, class of '95. I guess it's appropriate to say I was in the ag school as well. So do we have like an ag symbol? Maybe like a go ag? Cow. Nice. So let's see, class of '95. Most of my career has been in the sports world. Started in Jacksonville Jaguars when they were awarded a franchise in 1995, and worked a gazillion hours as an intern as my first job, and then did that for a couple years. San Diego Chargers, business school, a couple different sports teams, and then I landed here as their Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer. So that's a quick background.
My name is Rob Buccini. I was in the art school. I graduated in 1990 and helped start the Philadelphia Union here. And ironically, I played football at Cornell, so I was a running back. And so it's been an interesting experience.
Hi, I'm Joe Giles, and I wanted to say thank you to Reed for organizing this and the Cornell staff for putting this on. I'm a hotel school graduate, class of '84. I worked for a year with a feasibility study accounting firm called Labenthal and Horwath, which is no longer in business when I first got out of school. Did feasibility studies for hotel projects. Then I went back and got my MBA and worked in New York for a couple Wall Street firms for about 6 years doing real estate finance. And in the early 90s, the Phillies were starting to talk about building a new home, a new ballpark. So I thought that would be a dream opportunity, and given my feasibility background and my finance background, thought it'd be a great project. So I was fortunate and was on the team at the Phillies that helped build what is now called Citizens Bank Park. So I got to work with the architects and the builders and the politicians to put the deal together with the other team members at the Phillies. And when the ballpark opened, I started to focus on non-baseball events and trying to generate revenue in non-traditional ways, because we had this great asset and we wanted to use it more than just for the 80-some baseball games per year. So that's how I got here. Thanks.
Ari Roitman, class of '98, Arts and Sciences. A big thank you to all of you for coming. A big thank you to Reed and the crew for organizing. I actually got my start in the sports industry through Professor Walter Lefebvre from Cornell, who organized an interview for me at a small sports marketing firm in Manhattan. I got an unpaid internship, started 2 weeks after graduation, wound up spending about 3 years with that sports marketing firm in Manhattan. Got a job at Major League Baseball at the league office in Manhattan. I spent 9 years there, ultimately overseeing the corporate business development group there at Major League Baseball. And then in 2010, had the opportunity to come home. I'm born and raised in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and work for the Eagles, where I've been since. So thanks again for coming.
Thanks, guys. And my name is Mark Bruno. I'm class of '93. Like Joe, I'm a hotelie. And I think it's pretty obvious looking at us who the food guy is on the panel here. So while I don't work for a professional sports team or a sports team, I do serve through Aramark, a bunch of them. And I graduated and went to work right for Aramark. So I've been with them since graduation in '93, other than a couple years. Actually, Tim and I were classmates together getting our MBA, and I came back to Aramark. So I'm certainly Part of my role at Aramark as the Chief Operating Officer is overseeing our sports and entertainment business. And in that business, we get to work with clients like this, folks that run their organizations. And of course, we bring the food and beverage and hospitality and merchandise role that we play in helping to execute against what they're trying to deliver on. So I think you've got an unbelievable lineup here of folks, and hopefully I can add a couple things beyond just talking about pretzels.
All right, great. Thank you guys. And thanks for the thanks to me. I do appreciate that. But anyway, I'm going to start off. Again, this is a panel discussion about the business of sports. I guess I'm going to start with Rob here. You look at some of the recent figures that we've seen in the sports industry, most notably, probably recently, is the $2 billion sale that we saw of the Los Angeles Clippers. Some of these media deals that we're seeing, the figures are growing. Now, Rob, from your perspective as an investor, being an owner of the Philadelphia Union, I guess, what about this industry, what about sports as a business makes it such a promising investment opportunity? And on top of that, maybe even what specifically about Philadelphia as a market and the sport of soccer did you see as an opportunity as an investor?
Thanks. The biggest economic change that we've seen in Major League Soccer is the cost of the franchises. So when we purchased our franchise about 5 years ago versus today, it's 3 times the price. So $100 million was the cost approximately for the acquisition of Orlando, as well as the New York City new team that the Manchester City is purchasing and starting this coming year with the Yankees. So obviously that's a great multiple. We expect that the costs will continue to rise, and so that's obviously exciting. You know, the business of being in pro sports in Philadelphia is obviously exciting. The turnout that we have for our games is just phenomenal. When we had our first game at PPL Park, it just blew me away, the level of enthusiasm and the commitment that we have to our fans. And so what happens is when you think about how you're staffing the front office and the players, you really have this commitment to Philadelphia because they've been so good to us. So we obviously would love the value of the franchises to go to the $2 billion mark. Probably not in my lifetime. Maybe my son over there, his lifetime. But we'd be happy with a small fraction of that. And when Jay Sugarman, who's our largest owner of the team, he came and told us, well, you pay X millions of dollars for the franchise, and me not knowing very much about soccer, especially Major League Soccer, but being based here in the Philadelphia area, born and raised Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, Flyers fan. I was excited. We got involved because my day job, I'm a real estate developer in the region, and we own the land where the team and the stadium is now located. Jay, who we had business dealings with, runs a publicly traded REIT, came to us with Nick Sikevich, our CEO of our team, and wanted to put the stadium in Chester. And so that's when we really got involved in helping secure all the public financing, all of the private financing. Our company actually oversaw the construction of the stadium. So when they said what the price was to enter, I'm like, well, does that get you a stadium, and does that get you the teams? And it doesn't even get you a uniform, is what I found out very quickly. So we spent over $100 million, $120 million to build the stadium, and then you had to hire the front office, and so there's a huge carry cost to the day that we made the announcement to the day that we will have valuations that are far in excess of what we paid for the franchise, and we have a total investment. So, but what really I'm most proud of is we started with just a few people, and it was great to be part of that early 2 or 3 member group of the team, and so it's been really exciting to see how we are today.
Great. I know there's some students in the room who may want to enter the sports industry, so if you're going to learn something from Rob, make sure you own some property that people want to build a stadium on first. And,
right place at the right time.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you very much, Rob. So next off, I'm going to go to Ari. You can pass that.
Yeah, let me see if it's.
Hello?
There we go, yeah, down to
All right.
Ari. So Ari, you being on the sponsorship side of the business, and of course, unwrapping the tag on your water bottle there.
I'd like
as we
to
could
hold
see.
on to our partners.
There we go. And I guess on top of that, that's something I do want to ask is the change of the sports industry. Maybe you'll see a lot of that in sponsorship component of it, where maybe at some point it used to be just some sort of signage around the arena that you would see, and obviously those deals have changed very much so as the sports industry has evolved. So I guess in your time in sponsorship, I would love to know, and I'm sure the audience would as well, is how have you seen these deals change, not only just in the sheer dollar amount of these partnerships, but also in what sort of assets are being packaged, and how they're constructed, I guess, overall.
Yeah, I think there are probably a number of things that have evolved over time, certainly in my brief tenure in the industry. But I think the first is probably the way we're measured. And so it's sort of working in reverse. To answer your question, brands are much more sophisticated than they ever were in terms of measuring sponsorship. It's not just, here are your tickets, here's a big sign on the outfield wall, or here's a big sign in the end zone, and we'll see you next year. There are goals and objectives that teams have to hit. We are measured in terms of what the Cokes of the world and the Comcasts of the world, Lincoln Financial Groups of the world are looking to accomplish with their partnerships with the teams. Those goals are outlined every year. We have a big hand in setting those goals because we sit down with every single partner and we listen first and foremost. If you're not listening, then you're probably going to lose that partner. We listen to what they are trying to accomplish, and then we set goals, measurable goals, that at the end of the year we can sit down with them again and look back and say, hey, did we achieve what we set out to this year? If we did, great, let's take it up a notch, and if we didn't, how do we fix it? Second, I think brands are looking for more integration. I think they are looking to get into the game. I just unwrapped my water bottle, so I'm kind of going back to PepsiCo for a minute, but we are a Gatorade team as well. So Gatorade figured this out years and years and years ago. They are omnipresent on NFL sidelines. When an athlete comes out of a game, goes over to the sidelines, they are drinking a Gatorade. Gatorade is part of the game. They are ingrained in the culture of the NFL and many other sports as well. T-Mobile did a deal a couple years ago with Major League Baseball. I think baseball managers were probably the last people on earth that were using phones that had cords attached to them to call the bullpen. And so, T-Mobile saw an opportunity. They saw an opportunity not only to get their brand out there, but to actually be a part of the game. Have managers pick up a phone and use their service to get down to the bullpen to tell, Papelbon to warm up. And there are other examples of that as well. There are also examples that aren't necessarily part of the game, but part of infrastructure. We did a significant deal a couple years ago with NRG. We've got 11,000 solar panels on our footprint. We've got 14 wind turbines on our footprint. We generate about 40% of our power needs off of this partnership. While they're not, affecting the game on the field, they certainly are affecting the fan experience and the way that Lincoln Financial Field is run. So I think that would be another way that partnerships are evolving. Brands are looking to get involved. And lastly, I think B2B is big and it's only growing, and it's even growing with brands that have traditionally been focused on B2C, business to consumer. But brands are looking to partner in ways that will drive their growth with other partners. How can our partner network, whether it's other corporate partners, suite holders, club seat holders, season ticket members, how do they benefit from our massive reach, all of our collective massive reach? SCA is a good example. The SCA is one of the world's biggest manufacturers of paper products. They're a Swedish company. If you are across the street on Sunday helping us beat the Seattle Seahawks and you pick up a napkin or a paper towel, it's 100% recycled and it's all manufactured by SCA. Again, they're not affecting necessarily the game on the field like a Gatorade is, but they certainly are very much ingrained in the fan experience. So I think it's a lot, but I think those three things jump out at me.
Great, thank you so much. Tim's going to be next. All right, Tim. Probably the most interesting title on this panel, and I don't just say that because you're one of my bosses here, but you got Marketing and Innovation Officer of the Philadelphia 76ers, Tim McDermott over here. That's quite a title. You got marketing and innovation. Would love for everyone to hear about how the two are related. And from a marketing perspective, obviously, your duties are to grow and retain the fan base. And how are you sort of integrating that innovation factor to marry the two components of your job?
Sure. First of all, I should say a little something about Reed here, and this is meant in a really, really good way. So Reed and I probably have known each other now for like 3 years, maybe. I don't like a very long time. It seems like. So Reed was the president of the Cornell Sports Business Society.
There we go.
Secret society.
We have hand logos for that.
You do have it, right. So anyway, like years ago, I get this out of the blue email, this guy is like really, really good at networking with people and reaching out to people and getting to know them, and asking me to do panels and speaking engagements and Skype and all this type of stuff. And I'm driving to Cornell and I'm speaking to people, and I haven't been there 17 years, and I'm up there and I'm visiting. It's like really good. So anyway, so this happens like every year, right? And so one day he sends me this file, and he's like, this is an Excel spreadsheet that I put together that I thought you'd really like. And I open it, and it's like every person from Cornell who works in the sports industry, he knows them. And it's a ton. It's absolutely amazing. Like, you've done an amazing job. And so anyway, so fast forward.
That wasn't for the camera.
That was right. So fast forward, I'm like, you have to work here. Like, you gotta come work here, right? This guy is really, really great, and deserves a round of applause because he is a great example. Great example of every time I speak to younger people about getting in the business of sports, I use you as an example of like, that's how you do it, right? You add value. That's how you do it. He's done a great job. So in terms of my role here, marketing and innovation really intertwined, and I think the first thing is that you put the customer first, and having a really customer-centric strategy, and execute on that, tactically execute on that as well. So that's probably number one. Number two is talent. So we focus a lot of our energy and time on finding the right talent. I remember hearing a former boss of mine had this staff meeting one time, and he got in front of the room. He's like, this was when I was in the NFL, and he says, there's really no difference between our team and the Giants or the Cowboys or any other team. We have 11 guys on offense, they have 11 guys on defense. We have 14 coaches, they have 14 coaches. We have a scouting department, they have a scouting department. We sell sponsorship, they sell sponsorship. The difference is the people. It's really, really a profound statement when you really think about it. We have no secret sauce in this business, none of us, right? Besides Mark. Mark probably has a secret. The rest of us have no secret sauces. We do not have a recipe. We do not have a patent on a drug, right? The secret sauce is like what comes from us, the talent that we bring in here. So we focus so much on getting the right talent. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is in the past year that I've been here, we've over-indexed towards really setting the values and the commitments for this organization, and it's just been really inspiring. And part of that is then the culture, right? So it's the having a really a customer-centric approach. It's the talent that we bring in, and then the culture. And I think if you work here, and hopefully you would agree with me, that you know that when you come here, we empower you, whether you're 23 or whether you're much, much older than that, to create ideas, to run with ideas. And the most refreshing thing for me is when we can hand over a smidgen of an idea to somebody, and we take a group of very young people, and we're like, here you go. You guys take this and run with it. And that's really the best way we have found to create ideas. And it's amazing when you empower young people what happens. So from our standpoint, in terms of the second half of your question of like, how do we differentiate ourselves in this marketplace? You guys know me, if you're from Philadelphia, like this is a 5 for 5. I have to say 5 for 5 town. Like people root for every team here, and sports matters. It is in our blood. If you've been grown up in Philadelphia or born in Philadelphia, you know how important it is. It's like, I think the city should be called the city of sports. I really believe that. And the city of brother love is great, but the city of sports. And so I really feel like that is in the blood of the people here. They love it. And so that's the good thing. the challenge for us is how do we differentiate ourselves? Like in a real kind of, you kind of boil down like brand strategy, what is the difference between our brand and the rest of the teams in the marketplace? And so we're actually going through that process right now of what that looks like. We've been a brand that I would say has kind of been in a kind of a mediocre state for a long time, quite frankly. And now we're trying to figure out like, what does the Philadelphia marketplace want us to be? And so we're going through that exercise, and it's a classic exercise that you would expect, right? It's interviewing stakeholders, it's interviewing customers, season ticket holders, owners, executives, and so on and so forth, staff, and really coming up with like, what's the DNA, what's the soul of the 76ers? So we're in that journey right now. We're probably a little in between. We're going through, obviously, a very unique set of circumstances on the court, which has probably been one of the most challenging times for me in going through my kind of sports career. But I'll also say this, for anybody who's gone through some challenging times, I totally believe this, that you learn a ton. I have learned so much in this past 6 months that's making me think differently, act differently, lead differently. There's nothing in the world of sports that can probably, we've never been through this exercise before. None of us have gone through this exercise of being in a situation where you're a 19-win team last year, you lose 26 games, you draft 2 people in the first round, they're not playing, what do you do, right? You're 0-17, now 1-17. But it forces you to learn. And if you keep your mind and eyes and ears open to that and palms up, it's amazing that what we have done. We are actually, let's see, we're 6th in the league in new full season tickets. 6th in the league for new full season tickets, which is really, I mean, think about the stats I just told you. We're 1-17. We won 19 games last year. We drafted 2 players who are not on the court, and we're 6th in the league in terms of new full season. Now we have a long way to go. This is not me saying like, declaring victory.
After one win, right?
That's
That's what happens after you win one.
But it's amazing the culture. Like we're up 30% in our sponsorship business. Like if you look at all the different indexes, we probably doubled our digital traffic. So we're doing some good things. This is a build that we're going through, which is it's a very unique strategy. It's a difficult strategy from the standpoint. There's no shortcuts. We believe that we're going to do this through the draft, and it's going to take some time. But if you look at Oklahoma City, if you look at Washington Wizards, if you look at Toronto, that's the way they've done this. It took them some time, but now those are very successful teams. I'm kind of getting off the topic a little bit, so I apologize. Just a little bit, sorry. Sorry. I felt like I had to talk a little bit about Sixers a little bit. So. But anyway, and by the way, I will say one thing around innovation. So if you get a chance to get out of here early enough, we have a 3D court projection. There we go. And this is very unique to the arena business. So we put in a 3D court projection that it costs $1 million, which is a pretty big investment for a sports team to do. And we did it here. We did it with our sister company, the New Jersey Devils. They have one up there as well. And to me, it's fascinating. It's like it changes the way. It's like a huge, giant IMAX theater that you're looking at, and everything kind of the court's moving and it's shaking and it's breaking and it's doing all sorts of stuff. But that's an example of what we feel we have to continue to do, which is invest in the arena experience, or else people can stay home and watch it. And that's great. It's a wonderful at-home experience. The NFL, an amazing product, amazing at home, right? So every league is saying, how do we continue to invest in the in-arena, in-stadium experience? And a lot of us are trying to think through digital and how we lead with digital from that standpoint.
Great, and I think that's a very good natural segue over to Mark. If you want to pass it his way, is the in-home experience versus obviously at the stadium, and one major component of that is going to be the food and beverage. Now, what we've seen probably is whereas in sports stadiums and venues for the most part the food and beverage was pretty standard, all across. Obviously that has changed as the stadiums, as Tim has alluded to, are now trying to compete with that at-home experience. So I guess, Mark, what have you seen in your years with regards to how the food and beverage and hospitality in sports has been changing overall?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. I think it plays right into what Tim was just saying, and the fact that, look, at Aramark, we serve 100+ million sports fans a year at pro venues, college venues, and a whole slew of different locations. around the world. And serving that many people has its own challenges. But what is evolved over time is what our role really is. And yes, it's to serve a hot dog and a cold beer. But quite frankly, what we're now focused on, and I'll show you how it ties into food and beverage, is exactly what these guys are focused on every day, and it's the fan experience. We need a fan experience that beats watching it at home, that allows for people to feel a great sense of value for paying a lot of money to come see an event, to take time out of their day to spend their disposable income and discretionary dollars to come and to a sporting event, any of these sports. And so our role has evolved from a revenue stream and a kind of necessary thing to have food and beverage as a part of the experience, to really over the past 5-10 years as our job is to help drive the fan experience. And we do that through a variety of means, but a lot of what we've seen the evolution be is to localize the experience so people feel like they're in Philadelphia. Whether you're home or away, you come here and you say, wow, this is a Philadelphia experience. And it started with the renovation or the new ballpark at the Phillies, and it's expanded into all these locations that, when you come here and you are going to pay a lot of money for something, you can have, quite frankly, an Aramark burger, right? Or you can have something that's local, something that you recognize, right? I can make you a cheesesteak, or would you pay a little bit more for the Tony Luke's cheesesteak, right? So what we've seen is that integration of a lot of local flavor, and at the same time an uptick in the quality and the way we deliver the food and beverage or the hospitality. What that allows people to do is say, hey, nobody wakes up or goes to their dinner table and says, what do you guys want to have for dinner? So I want to have a hot dog from section 320 at Wells Fargo Center tonight. They don't do that. No, I want to go to a Sixers game. I want to go to a Flyers game. I want to come to an Eagles or a Union. Any game here in Philadelphia is a great experience. But we know that. But we do know that, hey, when they get here and when they're coming here, say, hey, we're going to get a Tony Luke's cheesesteak, a Lorenzo's. Not many people say I want to go and get some fries that they shake some salt and red spices on, secret sauce. But they do get excited when they can buy Chicky and Pete's here, right? Crab fries. So we see that evolution as it's small, and you may not really notice it, but at the end of the day, our job is to help these guys drive the fan experience, which drives the overall experience, whether you're watching it. We prefer to watch it here, in event, live, come to the stadium, buy the tickets, and be a part of that Philadelphia or any real sports experience, and say, wow, that was an incredible value, from the entertainment on the floor, from the team performance, regardless of whether they win or lose. Hopefully they win, but regardless, I had a good time, I was able to do a lot of fun things, and that was a great value. If we do that, then we're helping these guys succeed, and everyone, fans from all over the place, say, that's what I want to do, that's where I want to spend my money, that's where I want to spend my time. So we look at it as a very big obligation and something we take very seriously, so that and we'll continue to look at ways to evolve that.
Great, thank you. And while we're talking about the in-stadium experience, Joe, obviously you had mentioned that at your ballpark, a lot of your work is involving things that are outside of just the Phillies and baseball. Now, there's obviously days where the Phillies aren't playing there, and it's the off-season. I know you've been very proactive and a leader in this market in finding new ways to utilize your stadium to get people over there. Can you talk a little bit about what some of those challenges and opportunities may be in terms of utilizing your venue for, I guess, all year round is what you're looking to do?
Yeah, sure. Players make a lot of money. So we need to, in any way we can help generate revenue to help pay for better players is a good thing. So when we built this $550 million stadium, ballpark we like to call it, we said, how else can we use this besides the 80-some baseball games a year? So we do it because it generates revenue, it keeps our staff busy, it keeps the Aramark staff busy. It's a great connection point with our season ticket holders, our suite holders, our sponsors. They can have events at the ballpark. So we've had everything. Concerts is the obvious one. We had Jay-Z and Beyonce this summer, and Billy Joel and Jason Aldean. But we've had the Winter Classic, where races of any kind nowadays are very hot. The color runs are very hot, so we do some of those. We had a Spartan race the last couple of years. We had a thing called the Ridiculous Obstacle Course race at the ballpark. Because, like I said, the majority of the days of the year we have a facility that's not being used. We also have a team store that's open 365. We have a restaurant that's open year-round. So we just try to keep the ballpark vibrant and busy on a year-round basis.
All right, great. Thank you very much. So right now, what we're going to do is open up for some Q&A to our panelists over here. So go ahead, feel free to raise your hand, and we'll call on you and fire away. Yes, back there.
Yeah, this is maybe most relevant for Tim and Ari, but we've heard a lot of rumors about different ways to broadcast games, whether it be on Google or Netflix or other technology platforms. I'm just wondering if you had to take a guess, or maybe you already know, what player out there might be the next in line to broadcast live sporting events?
What was the end of the question? What? Can you repeat the question too, so the folks on the live stream?
Yeah, I think what you're asking, and help me along. There are a lot of rumors out there tied to the broadcast of live sports outside of maybe current rights holders, let's say, whether it's Comcast Sportsnet locally or Fox, ESPN, NBC, and CBS nationally. And so I think you're asking, what does the future hold? What might be on the horizon? So we're going to have slightly different answers because the model is different in both of our sports. We don't control our game broadcasts. It actually it makes life tough in the local market because we've got no in-game media. The other teams that are represented here and the Flyers, they all control to a degree what goes on in their local games. We don't. They're all nationally broadcast. The landscape is changing so quickly, and the convergence of media companies. It's topical because we've got a very big deal with Comcast. We also have a relationship with Verizon Wireless. Those worlds those lines are blurring constantly. Then you've got over-the-top providers who are trying to bypass cable companies, and you can download apps to your iPad right now. You can get content without even turning on a TV. You don't have to own a TV. You don't have to pay the cable company. You download an app, and you're going to get proprietary content sent straight to your tablet. So it's a really important question. I think it's a really good question. If I had the answer, I'd probably be on a different panel. But I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see where it goes. I think the NFL is trying to get ahead of it. They have a product that they launched this year called NFL Now, which sort of is I liken it to Twitter for content in terms of what they're going to spit out at you. You can customize what you want to see. You can say, hey, I got LaShawn McCoy on my fantasy team. I got Cody Parkey's my kicker. I want updates about him. I want updates about the Eagles, but I want to hear about the Cleveland Browns too. But I don't have an answer. I don't know if anyone does right now. I think it's going to be a really, really interesting, evolution.
Cool. Anything else? Yeah.
My question to each of you, and perhaps those of you who are concentrated in the stadium district, is that considering the litany of possible consequences of a casino moving down to this area, positive and negative, my question is, generally speaking, where do you all fall on it? Do you invite this population and this operation, or do you think that logistical, administrative, and other obstacles, prohibitions might prove problematic?
Well,
Casino, good or bad?
Just so we can hear that loud.
I think from a business standpoint, our business, the NBA, has been fairly bullish on around casinos and gaming. We have a deal with DraftKings, which is fantasy. We have a deal with Party Poker. We have a deal which is online gaming. We have a deal with Parks and Sugar House. So from our standpoint, we've been the NBA. We've been pretty bullish on it. I know the commissioner himself has been very bullish on it, and feels that moving more into that direction would actually be beneficial to everybody. In terms of how it are you asking something about right around this area?
Correct.
Strictly?
Correct.
It's probably, I guess, more of a ballpark. We don't own this building, so it may be better for someone who actually owns the stadium arena. But that's
Just one point, our stadium, PPL Park, one of the reasons we were able to receive $30 million in financing from Delaware County was that in a part of the revenue source for economic development funds in Delaware County comes from the Harrah's Chester Casino. So that was a source for them to use to pay the $30 million in bonds that were issued initially. So that was obviously a direct positive effect to us. But at some point you have to figure out really how many casinos can they build in this area. And being born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware, it's really interesting to see, or shocking to see, how the casinos in Maryland and in Pennsylvania really just decimated the profitability of the casinos in Delaware to the point where they're really marginally profitable now. So.
And from the Phillies standpoint, our official position is that we don't have a position. We're not really sure if it's friend or foe. I mean, just my own opinion. It might create some advertising opportunities, sponsorship opportunities. On the negative side, it might create some traffic, hassles. But overall, we don't think it's going to have a significant impact one way or the other.
The Phillies and the Eagles share the same position. The NFL's got probably of the sports represented here the strictest kind of rules and regs tied to partnering with other gaming sites, casinos. Baseball I think was in the forefront. I think especially as it relates to some types of casinos versus others, and then online gaming. The rules are still pretty strict for us, but as it relates to the logistics of the corner, again, our official position is that we have no position.
Great. Right of it. Let's pass the mic down. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can stand up.
Joe, with the increased push that the MLB has on pushing season ticket sales, in what ways are you trying to differentiate the season ticket holder experience from non-season ticket holder fan experiences this upcoming season?
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Great question, and people have mentioned the words adding value, and I think we try to add value, and we give price breaks, we give various incentives for people to purchase season tickets. We give them special things that no one else gets, such as a breakfast with the manager or a behind-the-scenes tour, and it's not what I particularly do. I'm not on the ticket side, but our ticket department works hard to build equity with the season ticket holder, and they try to add value to that every day.
Others want to add to that? No? Want to add
You can add to it, yeah.
We've made a concerted effort. Thanks. First time I've felt tall in my life. We've made a concerted effort to increase the value proposition for season ticket members. So we've added a ton of experiences on game day. We have 40 season ticket members that come into literally the tunnel the players come out of their locker room into, and get to watch the players leave the locker room and turn the corner and hit the field. Season ticket members hold the American flag for the anthem. We have insider events throughout the year where we'll invite season ticket members to come hear from Jeremiah Trotter and Coach Vermeil and great Eagles from yesteryear. So we've developed an entire platform to sort of increase the value proposition for season ticket members outside of the investments we've made on game day to the financial field.
We add more value than any of them combined. Okay? So let me
Making my job easier, thank you.
No, I mean it's honestly, we spend so much time thinking about season ticket members, and what can we do? How do we keep them coming? How do we add value? It's literally, I would say, of my day, it's probably half of my day is focused on that question, and it's everything. Like, we have an amazing situation where our coach, which I can say, I don't think I've ever seen this before. Our coach actually talks to season ticket members before every game. Like an hour before the game, he's got this, like, it's actually our post-game press conference room, and we'll have probably, 20 different season ticket members that are there, and he talks to them, and he's like breaking a sweat. Like, he's like into it. He's like losing his voice. He's so passionate about it. And you think about that, if you're a season ticket member and you have that experience, like, that's priceless. So we look at, like, the entire building from that lens of, like, what are the cool things that we can offer you, package up, and the challenge for us is some of these really cool experiences, this is the good and the bad, is they're tough to scale, but, which again is the good and the bad, but it's honestly, it's like the biggest focus of probably everybody who sits up here is how do we add value, how do we add value, how do we keep coming back? And we do add more value than every other single team.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, take another one. Anybody? If we have another one?
Somebody.
Now? Okay. Oh yeah, okay, last one. Then we'll wrap it up.
So with season ticket sales, I'm wondering how you determine how to price season tickets, given that it can be reasonably easy to sell those tickets at a profit through secondary markets. And why not just capture that value for yourselves?
Sure. We use a Cornell economist, PhD. In all seriousness, we actually do have a lot of pricing models, and it's really interesting this concept of pricing. In probably only like the last 10 years, there's been so much more sophistication in the market around pricing. There's actually companies. In fact, isn't Barry QQ? Yeah, QQ is a company that we use. It's a whole pricing company, and there's actually a Cornellian that started it. So there's a lot of sophistication that goes around it.
The same in our stadium. Every seat we have a value proposition for, and so we at the end of each season, obviously during the season, we're constantly figuring out, okay, what are the prices that we can change. We're obviously a value proposition versus going to a Phillies or one of the other games, and so that's obviously very important to us. Is kind of where we fit in the spectrum with the other professional teams. But really, at the end of the day, when I'll go to a meeting about ticket sales, I mean, if you win in Philadelphia, you fill the stadium up, and it's a pretty simple concept here. So I think more than any other city in America, the direct correlation between winning, filling the stadium up, getting the extra per caps, and being able to raise ticket prices or maintain ticket prices is to have a great product on the team that wins. So.
In Major League Baseball, we have a deal with StubHub, and they spend certain dollars with us, and we're kind of committed to using them. We have started to experiment with variable pricing, where certain games are $10 more than the normal price, and other games are $10 less. But there's a great deal of sophistication, and it's changing rapidly in the day that we're in. So we're just, I think, at the infancy of understanding, where we should be on this.
We try and consult as much data as we can possibly get our hands on. We've actually raised ticket prices each of the past 2 years. I'm sorry. But we follow the secondary market very, very closely. We will also use the NFL. The NFL is a great resource. The league provides a ton of data on the other 31 teams in the league where ticket prices sit. And so while we've raised ticket prices for 2 years straight, we're still fourth in the NFC East. I think we're ninth in the NFL for a top 5 market. Those things are really important to us as well. So even though for, let's just say, the Dallas game next week, we see lower level midfield tickets going for above $300, we're hoping I don't get fired, but certainly in the history right in front of us, in the seasons right in front of us. I mean, we're not going to take advantage of that type of a margin. It's got to be fair. It's got to be, the value proposition's got to be there, and the fan is always first and foremost in their minds.
All right, great. So it seems that should do it for this panel. But again, I do want to take the time to thank all these panelists up here. Please give them a round of applause. Certainly a very unique opportunity where we get industry leaders in sports to sit on a panel, get the opportunity to pick their brains like this, and I hope you guys did enjoy the opportunity to do that. So I guess next off, we'll hang out here, do a little bit more networking and eating, and afterwards, hopefully, we will get win number 2 and a 2-hour streak. So let's go Sixers, and thanks again for joining us.